Jai Mohanji, everyone. Jai Mohanji. It is now 7:02. Let us begin. Om Para Brahmaya Vidmahe Shiva Tatvaya Dhimahi Tanno Mohan Prachodayat. Om Bara Brahmaya Vidmahe Shiva Tatvaya Dhimahi Tanno Mohan Prachodayat. Om Bara Brahmaya Vidmahe Shiva Tatvaya Dhimahi Tanno Mohan Prachodayat. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Meshwara Guru Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jai Mohanji, everyone. Jai Mohanji. Thank you very much for joining us today. Today we are going to continue our explanation of Guru Gita. But before that, just to recap what we spoke about last week. Last week we did the introductory verse of Guru Gita. This introductory verse is a verse that is normally recited whenever you do any sadhana of a particular mantra, stotra, hymn, because it gives us very valuable information about the recitation that you are going to do. So any mantra or stotram like Guru Gita has 7 important things that are there, right? The Rishi, the Devata, the Chanda or the rhythm in which we recite it, the Bija, the Shakti, the Kilakam, and the reason why you are chanting this stotram or mantra. Last week, Friday, we went through each of these aspects in terms of Guru Gita. And we spoke about how those aspects actually tell us so much of what Guru Gita is and gives us the secret to unlocking Guru Gita. And I asked you last week to just take some time and think about this one paragraph. It's literally one paragraph. We spent 1.5 hours speaking about one paragraph or one verse. And I'd like to hear from you. You know, what did you think about? What revelations did you come to? What thoughts went into your mind? Anybody wants to volunteer? Don't be shy. There's no right answer, no wrong answer. It's what you thought of it. Anyone? Sam, can I unmute you, Sam?
You were thinking of this.
I had to pounce on you, Sam. Especially when you say, no, Swami, not me, not me.
For me, Swami, I started reading the when I started connecting to the Guru Gita.
Yes.
When we had yoga training.
Yes.
And you know, we were reciting it in Sanskrit, Swami, and
yes.
I don't know Sanskrit
100%.
from above, so
100%.
But I was reciting it and it flowed with the others so well, Swami, and I'm like, this is obvious, this has to be Father's grace, you know. And then when I came home, I started reading Guru Gita, and it was so powerful, Swami, as compared. I don't like to compare texts, but compared to the other texts. And when you spoke about last week, for me, what came to me was that maybe not, maybe from my personal experience, I have to be honest because there's a lot on my mind.
Yes.
And all I want was just peace of mind.
Yes, correct.
That's
correct.
all I ever want, because I'm looking at Baba's picture, and Baba is everything, and we are all minds, and I don't want to be listening to my mind. It gets me in trouble. It really gets, I've been learning to listen to my intuition, and then I'm realizing the truth. Mind knows nothing. It knows nothing.
Yep. Good. Excellent. Excellent. Well done, Sam. At least I know you were listening, Sam.
Swami.
Nirvana.
Jai Mochi, Swami. It's Lata that wants to say something. She's reading the Guru Gita.
I tagged on Nirvana's chat with you, so I'm just going to say it. But reading the Guru Gita, there's one verse, I think it's verse number 47, which tells you that nothing is possible without the grace of the Guru. And everything 100%. You have, you just want to give it to the Guru, because without his grace, it's just impossible. Even reaching the Almighty, it's impossible without his grace.
100%. 100%. 100%.
And well, Swami, I got back from Kenya after meeting my Guru there.
Well done. So, well done.
Studying it.
Excellent.
So it aligned in that
100%. 100%. 100%. Anybody else? One more person? The Guru Gita, we spoke about in the introduction, the Kilakam, the Bijam, the Shakti, the purpose of reading Guru Gita. Anyone else wants to recap? I'm looking for the person that speaks the most at ashram. Where is he? There is he.
Oh, God.
Egan.
Oh, Swami, I was waiting for this one.
Then you should have been prepared.
Okay. I'll try my best. Okay, so thinking about what we spoke about last week was a little bit different, but the understanding of what you said from the beginning of the mantra to the end of the beginning of the verse to the end of the verse, as well as the beginning of the mantra to the end of the mantra. To me, I basically looked at it as seeing it starting with Mohanji, as well as completely ending with Mohanji, if that's the correct word, or more oneness with Mohanji. Because if this mantra is starting with your Guru, it's starting with Om, and Om is the Parabrahma, the representation of this Parabrahma. And then we're talking about this Devata, the Devata, and it's being instilled inside you. And growing further this Shakti inside of you, which is already there, but it's only through this the Guru's grace, just like in Shakti Path, where Mohanji activates the Shakti in us. And this mantra is doing the same thing. It's awakening this so that we can understand that we're not separate from the Guru. We're not separate from Mohanji. We are one with it. It takes us exactly straight back to Mohanji.
Well done. Well done, Keeks. That's a good explanation. Well done. First time I'm telling you this, well done, Keeks. As long as there were no discussion about energy, it's good. Okay. Well done, guys. It makes me very happy to see that the ones that have answered actually understood what we were speaking about. And it's important, these Guru Gita sessions are for you to understand the beauty of this most amazing scripture. To me, this is the ultimate scripture. As well as for you to be able to speak about this to other people. One of the worst things that we can do as people that follow this Datta tradition is to let this tradition die with us. Being able to articulate what the Guru Gita means and explaining it to other people will actually help us in ensuring that we, as Datta's devotees, as Mohanji's devotees, continue with this beautiful tradition that is ours. Right, so let's go on, let's carry on. So just to recap, this first introduction verse that we had, right, where we described these 7 things about the Guru Gita, this very first introduction actually describes the path for us. It describes how we move from a bound individual to becoming one or realizing our oneness with Parabrahma. How do we do that? What is one of the easiest and simplest ways in which we can move from someone that is bound, that is shackled to this world, to all of the pain and the hurt and the suffering, but also shackled to all of the joy and the happiness? There's this beautiful Vedic saying that even if your shackles are made of gold, it still shackles you. What they're trying to say is, even if your life seems like it's so perfect, there's so much of joy and happiness, you have a big family, big car, big house, good job, all of those are still shackles. It's still shackles because it still pushes the agenda of having desires, which again ensures that you keep coming back birth after birth after birth. So how can we release these shackles? Whether it's the shackles of unhappiness or happiness, whether it's the shackles of joy or misery. In other words, the shackles of duality. How do we break it? This Guru Gita gives us the path. Reciting this Guru Gita. Now, when we say reciting this Guru Gita, it means not just looking at it once a year or looking at it only when there's a big Homa being done, Guru Gita Homa is being done, then we look at it. But truly, truly, truly taking it as being part of your sadhana, contemplating the Guru Gita and the aspects of the Guru Gita. This Guru Gita will take you from being bound to being free. This Guru Gita will take you from being a unit, an individual, to being the entire universe. How does it do that? Right? Continuous repetition of the Guru Gita. Right? Remember, we were speaking about the chandas. Right? One of the things that the chandas says, right, is by continuous repetition of the Guru Gita, we get perfection of it. Now, this repetition is not just repetition of the words, which makes a big difference in itself, as Samira was saying. You know, even if you don't know the meanings of the word, it will still make a difference. But if you evolve to a state where you start looking at what the Guru Gita means, continuously reading it, the meaning of the Guru Gita, even if you do one verse a day, how does this relate to you? How does this, or how should it make changes in your life? That is good repetition of Guru Gita. And it takes time, right? It takes a lot of time, right? So chandas, the chandas of the Guru Gita says that we need to repeat it, right? And the chandas that's applied here to our Guru Gita is the chandas that is any rhythm. That means anyhow, any way, any possible means of you reciting the Guru Gita, do it. It doesn't matter if the translation is correct or not, or 100%. It doesn't matter if the pronunciation is correct or 100%. Do it out of love, out of bhav. Sometimes for certain shastras, for certain Stotrams, there are rules on how to recite them. You need to recite a certain number of verses. It needs to be equal number of verses during each recitation, or you got to recite the entire thing sitting in ice cold water, flowing water. But with Guru Gita, all of that does not matter. You recite it anyhow you can. Remember when we were discussing, we said that the first time I truly read Guru Gita properly, it took me 3 years, 3 whole years to understand it and understand in my life, how does it apply to me? So you do it anyhow. This plants the seeds that you need, right? Remember that imagery that we spoke about of a farmer. The bijam plants the seeds of the Guru Gita, the seeds of the blessing. In this case, the bijam was hum, right? Hum, the bija of Kundalini awakening, right? Then to that, we have to apply the Shakti and the Kilakam, right? The Kilakam is the secret of how you get the most of the Guru Gita. And the secret of the Guru Gita, the Kilakam of the Guru Gita was Krom. That means complete acceptance. The Shakti was Sa, which represents Devi. The Sa Akshar represents Devi, which means when you are reading the Guru Gita and you accept you for who you are, you don't have to be better than anybody. You don't have to compare yourself to anybody. Just accept you for being you, and you make the effort to ensure that the grounds that you're planting the seed on is fertile. So you make the effort to read the Guru Gita. You are available for your Guru. That results in the germination of the seed. That seed that you planted, that bija that we spoke about that you planted, germinates. That gives grace. That gives grace. And that grace leads to you merging with the divine. So this basically is the pathway that you need to understand whenever you read Guru Gita. This was what that first introduction verse was. It is a sadhana. So it's not something that you should do once and forget about it for the rest of your life. You need to continuously look at it, continuously think about it, right? What is a sadhana? Sadhana is something that changes the neurological structure of your brain. It changes it in such a way that it allows you to attract grace. How do you do that? By repetition. Like everything else. You know, these boxers, the first time they go to box, some of them are terrible. But when they repeat those boxing motions over and over again, it gets imprinted in their brain. And then it becomes second nature to them. They plant that seed. So you too plant that seed. You water it with the kilakam, with the shakti, and it sprouts into grace. Once that happens, once there's a grace dawns upon you, you start identifying yourself with the truth of who you are. You start vibrating Guru Gita. You start vibrating the truth of Guru Gita. And you yourself will become a tree which provides shade for other people. You see, the Datta Sampradaya is not just about us and our emancipation, our liberation. A big part of Datta Sampradaya, being a real disciple of a Datta Guru, means you take the responsibility to become a tree for others in whatever way that you can. This Guru Gita gives you the capacity to get the grace. The grace gives you the Shakti, the energy to actually be a tree to others. Right, so that was what we discussed last week. Are there any quick questions? Nothing. Okay, great. Then let's start off with today's talk. Now, we are going to talk about the Dhyanam, right? This is the second verse in Guru Gita before we start the Guru Gita proper. Now, any prayer that we do, absolutely any prayer, whether it is Homa, whether it is Archanams, whether it is Guru Puja that Pujaris do every Thursday, whatever prayer we do, there are certain parts that make up the prayer. And each has a very specific reason why it's put there, especially at that point in the puja. Pujas are a scientific and psychological mechanism which we can use to access certain energies inside of us. You know, many people may not see the value of puja anymore because a lot of times it becomes just a ritual. It's just actions that we do. But when we start understanding what each of these steps are and how they change the inner being, we'll understand how every part of a puja actually starts changing these neurological synapses, the pattern of your brain. It's amazing. So puja itself, any aspect of any prayer, has different parts. It has a purification. It has Deepa Jyoti, that's when you light the lamp. It has pranayama or breath control. You speak your intention of why you're doing the puja, that's your sankalpa. You worship the asana that you are sitting on, that's the seat that you are sitting on when you're doing the puja. You worship the bell. There's something that's called a Dhyanam. Atma Puja, that's when you worship divinity inside of you. Kalsa Puja, when you worship the divinity in some sort of representation. Upachara, that's when you offer various items to the Kalsa or the representation of the deity that you have. Japa, Shama, Pratna, you chant, you ask for forgiveness, and you do Arti. Now, one of the main aspects of this entire process of puja is Dhyanam. Dhyanam, right? You find that the Dhyanam is very strategically placed in the puja. Sometimes Dhyanam is done once, sometimes Dhyanam is done twice in a puja, but whether you do it once or twice, it's very strategically placed in the puja itself. Dhyanam is often translated as a meditation, right? That's not 100% correct. It is a visualization of the deity, right? Dhyanam extols the deity, it praises the deity, it speaks about the various virtues of the deity, it speaks about the physical aspects of the deity. So for instance, it says the deity is so loving, the deity is so generous, the deity is seated on a golden throne made up of gems. Sometimes the Dhyanam is evolved slightly into a Manas Puja or prayer where you, with the visualization of the deity, you then offer certain substances in your mind, like when we do for Guru Puja. So when we're visualizing the deity and the deity's physical attributes, we think about things like, what are the features of the deity? So sometimes they describe the smile of the deity, they describe the skin color of the deity, they describe how many arms or legs or eyes the deity has. It describes the posture of the deity. You know, it may say one hand is holding a trishul, or one hand holds a gada, or one hand is in a blessing position. what garments the deity wears. For some, they say the deity is Digambara. The deity is wearing space. That means the deity is naked. Some, they say the deity is wearing the finest of silks. And they even give the color of the silk. Some deities are described as wearing yellow silk or a red sari. Hand positions, hand gestures, we spoke about symbolic ornaments. For instance, some deities are said to have the moon or a specific star or a specific jewel, that they are wearing a specific crown. Even weapons they describe. The deity is holding a trishul. The deity is holding a Sudarshan Chakra. The deity is holding a Sankha. So there are two reasons why this is done. Two main reasons, right? One is what we spoke about earlier. It allows you to perform internal and external puja. So from the Atma Puja, from the part where you worship God that is sitting inside of you, you then visualize God in your mind. So you're going from a subtle aspect, that is God inside of you, your soul, to a less subtle aspect. You're visualizing God in your mind. Your mind and emotions are creating the deity where you worship. And then you project that deity onto a physical item. And then you worship the deity there. After the puja, that deity is taken back into your mind and back into your soul. So Dhyanam allows this process of the visualization of the deity with all of the deity's attributes. That will help with internal puja. It then helps project the deity out onto whatever you're worshipping, whether it's a picture or an actual physical icon or deity, or a kalsa, which is like the lota with the coconut on it, or even a yantra, or even an inanimate object that has no real shape, like a linga or a stone, a saligram, Swarna Mukhi stone if you're worshipping Devi Durga, something like that. The second reason, which is one of the more important reasons of why Dhyanam is so important, is because it creates a connection between you and the deity. And it's an absolute beautiful connection that is made between you and the deity. So we added here one example of a Dhyanam, right? This is the Dhyanam of Lord Shiva. And it says, I shall prostrate before the Supreme Lord Shiva along with Goddess Parvati, who is serene. So they're describing the deity. The deity's features. It's serene. Decked in a crescent moon on matted hairlocks. So they're even saying what symbolic items the deity has. He has 5 faces and 3 eyes. They're describing the physical appearance of the deity. He carries the trident, the vajram, sword, spear. In the right hand, he has the abhayahasta posture, so the have no fear posture, the mudra of have no fear. He has serpents or the nagas around him. He has spasam, angusam, gandham, which is bell. He's holding it in his hands. He has that pot of fire in his left hand, and he has the color of brilliance, supreme brilliance, and he's decked in beads and seated in the Padmasana. So this describes to you Lord Shiva in detail. So when you are doing internal puja, you know this Lord Shiva has 5 heads. This Lord Shiva has all of these weapons in the different arms. They're even telling you which arms, the left hand arms or the right hand arms. He's telling you how many eyes he has, what jewelry he has on, how he's seated, who is with him, what is his expression on his face. So it gives you a detailed description of the physical attributes of the deity. So you can imagine the deity and do the internal puja and the external puja. Now we spoke about also the aspect of connection. It creates a very special connection between you and the deity. So that's you, right? And of course, I chose this picture of or outline of a man because it was the only one I could find. It's not that I'm being sexist. If I could find a lady, I would have, before I get scolding from certain members of our community. So this man that's here represents all of us, right? Mankind, whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter, right? You then do the dhyanam of Lord Shiva and you visualize him. There he's there. He has the crescent moon on his head. He has all of the nagas, the serpents all around him, the beads, the big pot of fire, right? They spoke about the trishul in his hand, the ganta, the bell in his hand. You can see it in his second right hand, the pot of fire in the left hand, top left hand, the spear, the sword, the noose, all of that they spoke about. All of that they spoke about. So you visualize the Lord sitting. Now, when you start doing that, and I'm sure many of you have experienced this, something happens to your heart or your heart center, right? Anyone wants to share? When you visualize, let's say you visualize Mohanji or your Ishtadevta, what happens to your heart center? Anyone?
Swamiji, for me, it expands, like I can't control it.
Very good, Sai. It expands, well done. That is something that happens when you start doing dhyanam or visualization of the deity correctly. But why does this happen? Right? Why does this happen? So we find that your heart begins to expand. This is what Sahil said, right? There's this overflowing emotion of just unconditional love. Sometimes the body gets tingly. Your arms feel tingly, your face feels tingly, your mind goes a bit silent. Some people just want to weep or cry. Some people are just quiet. They just sit with a big smile on their face. But the expansion of the heart occurs. Sometimes you may not feel it. It doesn't mean that it's not happening. It's just that the mind is not processing the energy changes that's happening. But the energy changes are happening, whether we feel it or not. But this feeling of your heart expanding, what is happening? What is happening there? So what happens when you read a dhyana? So when your heart starts connecting to the dhyanam of the deity, right? When your heart starts connecting to the dhyanam of your deity, what happens? A connection is made with the heart center of the deity itself. A connection is made with the heart center of the deity itself. Shakti begins to emanate from the heart center of the deity. This ball of fire, this ball of intense Shakti emanates from the heart of the deity and moves to the deity's third eye. And this continues like this. More and more and more of the Shakti is built up, right? The deity's heart expands as well, as much as yours, and energy moves to the third eye of the deity. Then a link is made between the deity's third eye and your third eye, and the Shakti gets transferred to you. This Shakti then moves throughout your body and you get that feeling of elation, that feeling of happiness, that feeling that everything is going to be okay. This also happens during Manas Puja. It also happens when you walk into a consecrated space. For instance, many people walk into the ashram, they walk into the shrine, and suddenly they are moved to tears. And it's definitely not because we dress up the deities very well. We try our best. but we could be better. So it's not that, it's not the magnificent jewels that the deities are wearing or the beautiful smell of the incense. It is this process that happens. The energy in the deities, that Shakti gets transferred to the person, and the person's heart expands more and more and more and more. Not only does it expand the heart, but it expands the entire body. And when this process of the entire body starts expanding, that's when you start feeling the tingly, your mind starts becoming still, you feel as if you are bigger than what you physically are. So this is a secret of Dhyanam. This is what happens when Dhyanam happens. Sometimes the direction also goes the other way, but that's a different story that we'll come to at some other stage. Does everybody understand? This is actually quite important. So if you just watch the animation, try and absorb the animation, because at a later stage, we're going to speak about this again and how it relates to Guru. Gita.
I have a couple of questions.
Hi.
So,
Yes.
For us having grown up in, with this type of in this culture where we have seen icons and images, it's easy for us to connect through the heart. But for those who are not used to this iconography, how do I explain that a heart connection? Is this a conditioning? So how, if somebody could ask me, how did they come up with this picture and all these, is it random? Is it somebody's invention of someone's mind? Or is this something that the rishis have seen?
100%.
In quotes. So I want to be able to explain it if someone
100%,
asks me.
100%. That's a very, very, very good question, Geeta. When the rishis did tapasya, now the tapasya that they did was not what we do. 1 hour a day, we sit in a comfortable asana, comfortable seat, blanket, covered nicely. We make sure we have a bath, put lovely cream, our skin feels nice and fresh. That's not what they did. They dedicated their entire life to a particular vibration. So they spent everything, they made everything about them to find God. So they hardly slept. When they sat on their asana for tapasya, it wasn't something comfortable. Some of them even hung upside down. For instance, for getting the Maha Mrityunjaya mantra, right? The rishi hung upside down for 15,000 years, upside down, or some number like that, some incredible number. He hung upside down to get that was his asana, to chant the mantra. We sit up straight and we have a problem. Our back pains, our neck pains, we get hungry, we need to go to the toilet, the phone is ringing. And here they sat upside down, they hung upside down. I'm sure, on many of the videos that there are on YouTube, you must have seen these saints that stand on one leg. And they do that for years and years, so much so that the leg swells, blood goes into the leg, the blood swells, and the leg gets frozen in that position. Or they raise their hand up like this with their mala and they do the chanting. And because their hand is up like this for such a long time, their shoulders actually calcify and they can't put their hand down again. It's too painful. It's painful keeping it up and it's painful putting it down. That's what they went through to move beyond the identification of the self, beyond the identification of the self with the body, with the physical body. They did all of this ghor tapasya to actually move beyond the body. Because unless you move your senses or your mind beyond this body, how are you going to perceive the infinite? Unless you move your wants and desires away from only material things, only wealth, only comfort, only food, how are you going to have that strong enough desire to have the darshan of God? So that's what they did. When they did this, they perceived Parabrahma. So in the depth and core of their being, in the space where there's no mind, they perceived Parabrahma. The Parabrahma they perceived has no form, has no iconography, no image, no gender, no skin color. Certainly when they perceived Lord Shiva, he didn't have 5 heads and moons and stars and snakes. Where is that Parabrahma going to have snakes where he is? He's in an absolute void. Where did the snake come from? This Parabrahma is alone in absolute bliss. Why does he need a Trishul? Where is he going to go find a blacksmith that's going to make him a Trishul, make him a sword, make him a bell? So this Parabrahma is absolutely formless, has nothing, needs nothing, is nothing, at the same time is everything. Now, the minds of these great rishis realized that they found a way in which they could identify the truth of themselves. And out of grace and love that they have for us, they said, I need to teach this path to others, for them to feel the bliss that I have. You know, it's like a drug addict. Right, Gita? Anyone in your family takes drugs, Gita? You know, smokes a bit of weed here and there.
Yes. Please don't ask me.
I'm sure they're telling you, Gita, come on, Gita, have one pull, Gita. You'll feel so good, right?
Okay, I'll take your suggestion.
Drug addicts do that, right? They want you to feel as good as they are feeling. So these rishis found the ultimate drug. This type of drug puts you in a high, and you never have a low after that in your life. So they wanted to share this with everyone. But they realize if they come and tell you, pray to the absolute nothingness, what are you going to do? Remember, this absolute nothingness is not even light. This absolute nothingness has no duality at all. So what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? How are they going to express their path to you? So their constitution of Rajas, Sattva, and Tamas, how it was combined inside of them, influenced their mind to see the Parabrahma as the image that we see these days. So that image that we see these days is really a summary of the constitution of the saint that describes that vibration that saint connected to in the group of infinite vibrations that represents Parabrahma. So that vibration that the saint connected to, his mind needed to express it in some way. And thus, the forms of these deities appear. That is why, like this picture here of this Dhyanam here of Lord Shiva, Sadashiva, is the equivalent to the most subtlest form of Parabrahma. So the saint that saw this said, if Parabrahma had to appear in a physical world, what would he need? He'd need control over the 5 elements, hence the 5 faces. He'll need control and be able to communicate through all of the sense objects, hence the arms, the different arms. Although he has all of this, he'll be established in absolute serenity hence the lotus position. So whatever you see here actually is a symbolic meaning that the Rishi saw, the Rishi perceived. It's not made up. Made up means you created something from nothing. Nothing existed and you made it up. This is perceiving. That's what they call rishis. Rishi means seer. It's perceiving. You are perceiving a particular vibration of the infinite vibration. The vibration that you perceived is based on the Raja, Sattva and Tamas mixture inside of you. So the deities that we see are not unreal. The deities that we see are very real. They represent a vibration of the divine, one vibration of the divine. That is why every deity has forms, right? You have an elaborate physical form like this of Sadashiva or Mahasadashiva has 25 heads, 50 arms, more weapons. But that Sadashiva form has a simpler form, the linga, right? For Devi, it's Swarnamukhi, the Swarnamukhi stone. For Lord Vishnu, it is the Saligram stone. For Surya, it's either the one of the crystals, the ruby or the quartz crystal. Ganapati, there's a type of coral. Even for Hanumanji, there's a coral that is used to represent them. That's just a stone or a plant that's used to represent them. That then becomes even more subtle. A yantra, which is just a drawing. It's not even a shape, it's a geometric drawing. That becomes more simple, more subtle. The mantra of the deity. That becomes even more subtle. All these mantras merge the bijam of the deity. And it becomes even more subtle. That bijam merges into Om. That becomes more subtle. Om merges into the bindu, the point. The point, the bindu, the point. And then that bindu eventually merges into the Parabrahma, that infinite void. All religions, every single religion uses iconography, even if they say they don't. Even if they say they don't. The iconography is just different. It is dependent on the environment that they were in. Indian people are very creative. Gita, you're lucky you were born in India. You're very creative. Sanatan Dharmi people are very creative. That's why they created such elaborate deities. But this is everywhere. In Christianity, the symbols are the Bible itself, the Word of God. The symbols are the crucifix. Some churches you go into, you actually see Christ, image of Christ on the crucifix, hanging in the main space. It could be the chalice with the wine and the bread. That's symbolic of Christ and his body, his teachings. In Islam, it's the Kaaba, which they circumambulate. Islam is also the Quran, which they keep so purely and with so much of respect. It represents the word of God. They also have mantras. Judaism, it's the Torah. If you look at how they respect the Torah, they don't even touch the Torah with their hands. They have an instrument like a pointy, and they use that to touch the Torah. Sikhism, which is very Advaitic, they have Guru Granth Sahib. They have the image of the Guru, which they worship. So every single culture, in African culture, Zulu culture, it's the same thing. They are symbols for deities. In Haiti, in Vodism, the same thing. They are images of deities. Every culture, Aztecs, worshipped the sun. They created beautiful gold structures that represented the movement of the sun and the positioning of the stars. That's how they perceived God. So the idea of a form of God is not new. It's just that in Sanatana Dharma, it's so elaborate because there's a lot of issues that deal with the mind. It moves you to a space of purity of mind. That's why it's so elaborate. Gita?
I wanted to say with our idols that we have, do we have the advantage of having the prana pratishtha?
Yeah.
So that it's actually a palpable experience which may not be
100%.
there with books and other things.
See, books also you do prana pratishtha on them as well. Guru Granth Sahib is a living guru. Prana pratishtha was done by the last guru to the Guru Granth Sahib. So Guru Granth Sahib is not just a book. Guru Granth Sahib is the real talking, living, walking, sitting, eating guru. That's why it's respected so much. If you look at how much of love the Sikh community carries the Guru Granth Sahib, puts the Guru Granth Sahib to rest, covers the Guru Granth Sahib with a beautiful cloth, has music playing all the time in the room where the Guru Granth Sahib is kept. So pratishtha is even done on the book the Guru Granth Sahib. You know, this pratishtha energy is what you are seeing here. It is Shakti being put into a particular place that can be accessed at a later time. That prana pratishtha can even be done to a building. That's why we have Vastu. Vastu is the way in which we ensure the proper movement and the proper legacy of the pratishtha, or the prana pratishtha that happens, of the energy that's in there. Energy must move properly and it mustn't dissipate and go away. It must always regenerate itself. So this pratishtha is what we are actually worshipping when we worship a deity. Right? That's why the process of the puja was there. First, we started with Atma Puja, Dhyanam, Kalsa Puja, and then back into us. So we see God inside of us because that's where God lives, nowhere else. We project God into our mind. We project that Shakti into an image, whatever that image is, whether it's an elaborate deity that's dressed, or it's simply a stone, or a picture, or a tree, or a plant. Worship the deity outside because it's easier for us to physically do the worship. And then withdraw the deity back into our mind, and then back down into our heart, where the deity actually is.
I have one more question.
Yes.
So I understand that with community puja, we have to have temples and that type of worship.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
as an individual, living on my own home where no one else is interested in this,
yeah.
and for me, I find it intimidating. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, this is my own thing. Setting up and it's distracting. How do I know if Manasa Puja is something I will be effective for me, because I understand that it requires already some level of subtlety to be
100% to do the Manasa Puja.
Yeah.
See, you don't have to leave your home to actually participate in a puja. Nowadays we have Zoom. That's why the pujaris do puja every Thursday. For those people that can't leave their homes, you log on a Thursday and you get the same benefit. Normally the puja is done here at the ashram. So the energy of the ashram, the Shakti of the ashram, the Shakti of the deities of the ashram, this process happens with everyone that watches Guru Puja. Now, because of COVID, of course, they can't come here. But this is why we broadcast our pujas. Navaratri, Shivaratri, Datta Jayanti, we do big pujas. And we broadcast these pujas to everyone, so that this process here, everyone gets the benefit of. Second, just speaking to highly evolved beings that have identified with Parabrahma, like Mohanji. Mohanji is the incarnation of Lord Datta. Just speaking to him, watching his videos, this process happens to you already. So it doesn't mean that you have to do a physical puja with all of the setups and the chanting and the mudras and things like that. That's not necessarily important. I'm not saying it's not important, but for some people, it may not necessarily be important. You can do other things like reading Guru Gita. You read the Dhyanam of the Guru Gita, this is happening to you. That's all you do. So don't feel that you have to go to certain places. You know, although visiting power spots is very beneficial, because no matter what you are doing, you see, you said it, Gita, like if you want to do Manas Puja, there has to be a certain level of attainment. You must be able to concentrate on Lord Shiva or Mohanji or Devi or Datta, you know, whoever you're doing the Manas Puja for. Concentrate and see that you're offering the Abhishekam. Concentrate and see that you're offering food to him, lighting the Agarbati, doing the Aarti. It takes a lot of mental power. You know, even reading, you got to concentrate and read to a certain extent. Doing the puja, you got to set up and buy everything. But walking into a temple, all you do is walk. You just walk into the temple. This process happens. So these are just different tools that are given to us for us to use at different times in our life. There are times where we will be able to concentrate so well and do Manas Puja. But there are times that we won't even be able to chant. Then we can read Guru Gita. Then there are times when we can't even read Guru Gita. Then we can watch a video of Mohanji, read a blog, see a picture of Mohanji, see Mohanji's icon. This process happens when you look at Mohanji's icon very powerfully. Sometimes we can't even do that. Then maybe we can go and just visit Mohanji. Right? Visit Mohanji, go to Mohanji's temple, go to Mohanji's center of benevolence where Mohanji's energy is there. And it's tangible. It's really, 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 really tangible. You know, I can speak here for the ashram. I know that I've seen with my own eyes people walk into the ashram and they burst out into tears. And they can't understand why, but they feel that all of the burden that they carried suddenly is gone. This process happens to them. Okay, Gita.
Thank you so much.
Right. Let's quickly move on. The Guru Gita Dhyanam. So this is the Dhyanam that is there in the Guru Gita. Hamsa Vyam Parivrata Patra Kamalanair Divyar Jagat Karnair Vishvot Kiranam Aneka Dehani Laya Swachandam Atme Chaya Tad Yotam Pada Sambhavam tu Charanam Tipan Kura Grahinam Pratyaksaka Sara Vigraham Gurupadam Dhyayat Vibhum Sasvatam. So what does this mean? This is the important part. The Guru's lotus eyes are represented by Ham and Sa. He is the divine origin of the universe. Of his own will, he manifests in numerous forms to uplift the world. He is ever free. His form is imperishable, everlasting, and all-pervading. Meditate on his lotus feet. This is a beautiful dhyanam, a beautiful way in which we meditate or visualize on the Guru. But there's so much that's here. So much that's here that we need to speak about and try and dissect and learn more about. The Guru's lotus eyes are represented by Ham and Sa. Ham and Sa. We spoke about this in the introductory verse, where Ham is the Bijam, Sa is the Kilakam. So Ham is the Bijam, Sa is the Shakti. Right? It starts speaking about the same aspects again. Right? The Guru's lotus eyes. So the description of the Guru begins with the eyes of the Guru. It doesn't begin with anything else. It begins with the eyes of the Guru. It doesn't describe the Guru's feet, which is probably something that would have been maybe a good idea to start off, because the feet represent grace. It doesn't describe the Guru's hands or anything else. It describes the Guru's eyes. Why? Eyes represent vision. It represents where you want to go to. For you to go somewhere, you need some sort of capacity. So by describing the eyes, you are describing the capacity of this Guru Gita. By first saying the Guru's lotus eyes are represented by Hum and Sa, you are saying that the vision of the Guru is to create Hum and Sa in you. The power of this Guru Gita that's found in the doorway of the Guru, because eyes are the doorway of the soul, right? You look into someone's eyes, you know what's in their soul. The doorway of the Guru, the essence of the Guru is Hum and Sa. Now, we spoke about Hum Sa last week as well. This Hum and Sa is the Hamsa or Soham mantra. Hamsa, Soham mantra. Now, it's important for us to take note of this, because it's mentioned 3 times, if not more, in the Guru Gita. It's in the introduction verse, which is an important verse, the Dhyanam, which is an important verse, and when they describe how you meditate on the Guru, they mention Hamsa again. So it's very, very important. So take note of this explanation. Hamsa, if you look at the Sanskrit meaning, the Sanskrit meaning of Hamsa is actually swan. Why swan? Right? Why swan? The swan, according to Vedic literature, is a being that has the ability to sift out milk from water. So the Vedas describe the swan as having the ability to sift out milk, the pure milk, from water that dilutes the milk. So what does that mean? It means the Hamsa, or what the Hamsa represents, has the ability to differentiate between illusion and reality. It allows you to take this whole big conglomeration of ideas and take out what is the most important and understand that. Because understanding that most important aspects, you inevitably will understand the entire thing. This is why Hamsa, the Guru's eyes, are said to be Hamsa, because it is the highest form of meditation. Hamsa meditation or Hamsa chanting is said to be the highest form of meditation in some Raja Yoga paths. And we'll speak about this a little bit more just now. So you're saying that the Guru Gita, number 1, is the essence of the whole Vedic tradition. So instead of going and reading the whole 4 Vedas, read the Guru Gita. There's 180 somewhat verses in it. That's all. And what you will understand from the whole Vedas, you will understand just by reading Guru Gita. That's why they say the Guru's lotus eyes are represented by Hamsa. The Guru, Mohanji, our Guru, is a representation, a living representation of the Vedas. His words are mantras. His feet are all of those great pilgrimage places that all of the Puranas speak about. So the sum total of all of that sits in Mohanji. That's why the Guru's lotus eyes are represented by Hamsa. Now, we spoke about Hamsa being the highest form of meditation, the highest form of Raja Yoga. What does that mean? Hamsa is a type of sadhana where you are connecting to your breath. It's called ajapa japa. because it's something that happens automatically. Your breath happens automatically. There's no effort that's made to it. Hamsa simply is concentrating on the breath going in, concentrating on the breath going out. In fact, Vigyan Bhairava Tantra verse 24 speaks about Ham and Sa and gives this as a method to become Shiva. So this means that your guru is the method to become Shiva. Now, depending on whether you're doing Hamsa or Soham, right? The Hum is the in-breath, according to Vigyan Bhairava Tantra. Hum is the in-breath. Sa is the out-breath. Complete concentration on breath and movement of the breath in your body is what? Kriya. So they're saying here that Kriya, the process of Kriya, the entire process of Kriya lies in your Guru's eyes. That's incredibly beautiful if you think about it. That's incredibly, incredibly, incredibly beautiful. The highest Kriya, the highest level of initiation to Kriya, all of that Shakti is in your Guru's glance. All of that Shakti is in Mohanji's eyes. This Hamsa technique carries the divine nectar from the lower chakras, Muladhara chakra, right up to the Sahasradhara. Right? Ham represents Shiva, Sa represents Shakti. So Hamsa represents the union of Shiva and Shakti. The eyes of your Guru represents Shiva and Shakti. The Guru's left eye is Shiva, your Guru's right eye is Shakti. So Hamsa is saying Shiva and Shakti are the eyes of your Guru. Not just Shiva and Shakti, the union of Shiva and Shakti. The cosmic dance of Shiva and Shakti. The embrace of Shiva and Shakti together is found in the eyes of your Guru. What we attempt to do through all of our sadhanas of moving the Devi Kundalini up, moving Devi up to Shiva, all of that you'll obtain in the eyes of the Guru. Whether it's Adhana Reshwara, that Shiva and Shakti half and half, or actual union of Shiva and Shakti together. Now these three are tantric pictures which represent the union of Shiva and Shakti. Sanatan Dharma, so the first one is Shiva and Kali on a corpse. The second one is Tibetan Buddhism, so Vajrayana Buddhism. And the third is general Buddhism. So the fourth one, the last one, general Buddhism. I think. So these images also show the union of Shiva and Shakti, and there's a great meaning behind this. There's a great meaning behind this. You know, people look at this image and they think, oh, it looks obscene. Right? I know when Ajay saw this picture, he said, Bhakta, why are you putting this picture here? Right? All I can say is I thought about Yeti and Yeti's talk that he gave on Women's Day on Monday. And this is why I put the picture. So if you want to blame someone, let's blame Yeti, right? But seriously, this picture has a great, profound meaning to it. Shakti represents knowledge. Shiva represents method. Union, or the rise of the Kundalini, or absolute perfection, absolute balance in this world, only happens when knowledge and practice comes together. This is why these type of union images are found all over Tibet, for instance. You know, the Tibetans don't see it the way we do it. You know, we see this and we close our eyes, or we see this and our eyes go to certain body parts. For them, when they see this, they understand the true meaning. It means if you want spiritual awakening, you have to have knowledge and you have to practice. This is what your guru's eyes are. One eye is knowledge, one eye is practice. When he glances at you, when he looks at you, you know, that loving look that Mohanji gives, you know, that smirk that he has. When he looks at you, he's blessing you with practice and knowledge. That's an ultimate gift, ultimate blessing. Even in Lord Dattatreya in the Yoga Samhita, the Dattatreya Yoga Samhita, he alludes to this as well. He says, just chanting is not enough. Just japa is not enough. So just action alone is not enough to give you liberation. You need that knowledge. Together, the action and knowledge, as we said, literally changes synapses in your brain, changes the way your brain is hardwired. And suddenly grace flows. He is the divine origin of the universe. He is the divine origin of the universe. Again, you know, this is showing what Parabrahma actually is in relation to Guru. What Parabrahma is in relation to Guru. We spoke about this a little bit earlier with Gita's question. We have Parabrahma who is beyond everything, right? Beyond everything. No form, no gender, no color. He's not even light. That Parabrahma, which is beyond everything, becomes Bindu. Bindu is like a concentration, right? That you can maybe equate to light if you want to, in certain ways, but it's not exactly light. But it's a concentration in a particular point that becomes Om. So that concentration in a particular point began vibrating. Anything that vibrates will give a sound. That sound was Om. That Om took the form of Lord Datta, but when we see this form of Lord Datta, it's not necessarily the physical form of Lord Datta, right? This is the Datta that represents Parabrahma. Although he has a form, he actually doesn't have a form. It is the most subtlest form of this Parabrahma that is operating in this world of duality. Right? We call that Lord Dattatreya. That Om became Lord Dattatreya. Lord Dattatreya, this Parabrahma, Dattatreya, split himself into three because he wanted to create the universe now. He wanted experience, he wanted to create the universe. So he split himself into Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. The process of the universe, creation, preservation, and destruction, recycling. So the three Murtis, along with their Mahashaktis, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, created the entire universe. Created the entire universe. So what you are saying here is that he is the divine origin of the universe. That Parabrahma that created the whole universe is Mohanji. That Parabrahma that created the whole universe is your Guru. So when you see your Guru, it's not the body that you should see. It's that Parabrahma that you should see. In the Dhyanam already, they're describing and giving the highest of the highest quality to the Guru. Parabrahma is your Guru. Your Guru is Parabrahma. There is no difference. This is why we worship our Guru. This is why we emulate our Guru. Because in our mind, the Guru, the essence of the Guru, is Parabrahma. Of his own will, he manifests in numerous forms to uplift the world. Now, this again is speaking about creation. Right? Remember, we spoke about there being para Brahma, there being nothingness, absolute nothingness. That para Brahma, of his own will, created duality. What does that mean? Why are we here? Why are all of us here? What is the purpose of our life? It's simple. Mohanji got bored. Mohanji got bored and we are the result of his playthings. So what's our purpose? Just be. Just experience. Whatever we're going through is an experience that Para Brahma wanted to have. The divine wanted to have. That Para Brahma, with those three gunas that we spoke about, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, creation, preservation, destruction, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, created 33 Vedic gods. Again, permutations happened. It created the 33 crore gods. He manifested in numerous forms to uplift the world. 330 million different gods, because there are 330 million different constitutions that we can have. But it doesn't end there. It means that he also manifested as us, as all the plants, all the trees, all the animals, all the microbes, everything, the rocks, the bricks, the chair, the table, the computer that we're using, the internet that we are using, the packets of information, the ones and zeros, the electricity, it's all Para Brahma. Not only that, all of the planets are Para Brahma. The universe, the stars are Para Brahma. And I had to also include this. It also includes all the aliens out there. All of the aliens out there in the universe, they are also manifestations of Para Brahma. They are also manifestations of Para Brahma, just like us. Just like us. Everything is Para Brahma. He is ever free. Para Brahma is ever free. This means that although he took on all of these forms that we see around us that seem bound, he is not bound. He is not bound. He is free. Now, this has an implication for us as well. It means in truth, every single one of us are free. Every single one of us are free. We don't have to strive for liberation. We don't have to strive to merge with the divine. We don't have to strive for everything, because as we are right now, we are everything. There's that saying, we are divine, we are human beings, we are divine beings having a human experience. We are divine beings just having a human experience. You are already liberated. You are already perfect. You are the soul. You are perfect. Absolute perfect. Absolute perfection. It's just the mind confuses us. Mahamaya confuses us. The illusion confuses us. And we think we are separate. We think we are not perfect. We think that we still have to be more. That's not true. His form is imperishable, everlasting, and all-pervading. Now, this is very, very interesting, right? So if you look at the Guru Gita Dhyanam. No way is it actually describing the physical form of the deity. No way is it describing the physical form of Guru. It's not saying his arms are in this posture, he has 4 arms, or he has 6 arms, or he has 2 arms. You know, we're not saying any of that. Later on, maybe they describe that. But right now, there's no description of that. Why? Because they're saying the highest way of seeing the Guru is that which is imperishable, everlasting, and all-pervading. That is who your Guru is. This is who Mohanji is. Mohanji is not South Indian. Mohanji is imperishable. Mohanji is not male. Mohanji is everlasting. Mohanji doesn't have long hair. Mohanji pervades everything. This is Mohanji. The other things are only symbols that Mohanji is. Symbolically, Mohanji has long hair. Symbolically, Mohanji is a male. Symbolically, Mohanji is South Indian. It doesn't matter. What is Mohanji? Who is Mohanji? He is that which is imperishable, everlasting, and pervading. This is the deities we worship. So we come back to Gita's question. We know that that Murti is not God. Because in 200 years, that Murti will be cracked. When you come to the ashram and we start moving deities, the deity falls and cracks. We know that God can't crack. But what is inside the deity is imperishable, everlasting, and all-pervading. That is God. Guru is an energy. Guru is a tattva. Guru is that which Lord Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verses 22 to 25, Lord Krishna says, weapons cannot cut it. It's talking about the soul. Weapons cannot cut it, nor can fire burn it. Water cannot wet it, nor can wind dry it. This self cannot be cut, burnt, wetted, or dried up. It is eternal, all-pervading, stable, ancient, and immovable. The self is unmanifest, unthinkable, and unchangeable. Therefore, know it to be as such. You should not grieve. As much as Lord Krishna is describing Guru, describing the Parabrahma, is also describing you. This is who you are. So why should we grieve? The Guru Gita is teaching us that no matter what is happening in your life, remember, remind yourself, you are eternal. Whatever you are going through will pass. Even if it lasts this entire lifetime, it will pass. You are more than one lifetime. You are more than one body. You are more than one decade of pain. You are more than one year of problems. You are more than a few minutes of challenges. You are all-pervading, everlasting, and imperishable. Meditate on his lotus feet. This is beautiful. Meditate on his lotus feet. So this Guru Dhyanam, this Guru Gita Dhyanam, started with the eyes and ended with the feet. Everything that these sages have written and done really means something. Lord Sadashiva, when he's saying this, won't just start with the eyes and end with the feet for nothing. What does it mean? It shows us what Guru Gita is. Guru Gita is the eyes of your Guru. Guru Gita is the feet of your Guru. And Guru Gita is everything in between your Guru's eyes and your Guru's feet. Guru Gita is living. There is pratishta that is done already. This is coming out of Lord Shiva's own mouth. When you combine vision with grace, you become unstoppable. When you become unstoppable because of grace and because of proper vision, you integrate with Parabrahma. So the Guru Gita perfectly allows your integration with Parabrahma. And we'll speak more about this a little later as we go on with the other stanzas and verses in Guru Gita. Thank you very much. We are on time. Yay, we are on time. Are there any questions?
Namaste, Swami. I don't have a question, but sorry, if you want to go ahead, you can.
No, it's okay.
I just wanted to emphasize the first time I heard the Guru Gita, what impacted me the most, and I'm just sharing this so that others can benefit if they do, is Shiva telling Parvati, there is nothing higher than the Guru, emphatically. There is nothing higher than the Guru, and this is true, this is true, this is true.
Yeah.
And the part where he says, if Shiva is mad with you, the Guru can save you. But if the Guru is mad with you, even Shiva can't do anything.
100%.
So that's the
100%.
importance of the Guru in our lives.
100%.
So I just wanted to bring that home and emphasize that for everyone present here. That is the importance of this text and the worship of the Guru and the Guru Gita.
100%. 100%. 100%. Ashadre.
Swamiji, I just want to make sure I have like understanding correct. When we talk about Dhyanam, and if we go into a space that's very spiritual and meaningful, where there's so much of like Shakti or energy, say as when we go into the ashram, you said that we can smell the incense, we can see the deities nicely dressed, and when you walk in there, you get that expansion, but it's not the incense and it's not the deities and it's not what you see, but that's actually the visualization. So that's what we see, but what we feel is due to that visualization, that expansion that we feel
is due to the transfer of energy from the deities, the sadhana that's being done there, the meditations that have been done there to you. So
and
that's
like about how our brain actually like visualizes it. Like when we go there, we feel that love.
100%.
And I know it's because of the pujas and the sadhana and everything that was done there, but what we see is what maybe brings about.
100%. So the visualization has to be there to trigger something in you if you are a visual person. So if you are a visual person, then you will visually see certain things. When I say visual person, I mean sense orientated. So the image of the deity, the incense, the colors, that's why deities are always dressed up so nicely with so much of jewelry. You know, the grandeur of the temple, the atmosphere of the temple, all of that opens your heart and allows the energy to transfer. So if you are a person who has very strong senses, that happens. If you are a person that has very strong prana, then just walking to the space, even if you walk with your eyes closed, mouth closed, ears closed, nose closed, you will still feel that energy, because the prana will start interacting first, and then the Shakti gets to you. So it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, or what stage you are in, or what you feel for that particular day. Because no matter how strong and powerful or disciplined you may be, there are days where you won't be able to chant or meditate. Your mind is not strong. Your prana is weak. Those days rely on your senses. Look at the picture of the deity and let the transfer happen. So you are 100% correct, Ashadri. The visualization of all of the deities are there. It creates a particular feeling because of the neural pathway that is created between the synapses in your brain, right? That particular neural pathway allows a particular emotion to be generated. So certain hormones are released. When hormones are released, a certain emotion is generated. When that emotion is generated, as that emotion gets more and more purified, it turns into gratitude. When that gratitude emanates from you, we started off through the stimulus that went into the neural pathway, grace flows.
The reason I'm saying that is because when I walk into the ashram, the first thing I do, and I started noticing it like recently, the first thing I do is I take a deep breath.
Mm-hmm. 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 100%.
When I get in there to smell the incense, I feel like it's 100%. Different in ashram compared to anywhere else. So
100%. 100%, Ashadri. Yeah. You are 100% correct. That is why I encourage people to visit temples. You know, I encourage people to visit ashram. Don't feel that this is a space, I don't need it, I can just sit in my home and I'm comfortable. Yes, you can, 100% you can. There's no problem in that. But as Ashadri is describing to you, there are certain processes that are done in temples and ashrams that create certain powerful energies that may not be present in your home. In ashram, there are certain pujas that are done every day, sadhanas are done every day, certain visualizations are done every day, certain pujas are done every day. Those pujas and visualizations and sadhanas may not be done in your home to generate that type of energy. So even if you don't know what's going on, visit. Automatically, you will do the right thing. Like Ashadri, automatically she takes a deep breath. Automatically, she is breathing in the prana that is in the environment. Nobody told her to do that. No one asked her to do that. No one said anything. Ashadri, when you walk in, must put your right foot in and take a deep breath. No one told Ashadri that. I certainly won't tell anyone that. I'll chase everyone away from ashram. What type of ashram is this? Especially in our ashram. Our ashram has six dogs. So when you take that deep breath, it's not only incense that you are smelling. But Ashari did it naturally because the spiritual part of you, your energy system, will naturally recognize what to do, what is best for you. Any other questions? We have time for one more. Yes, Bhumika.
In the Guru Gita text that has been shared, I did not find, I was looking at it, I did not find the Dhyanam there. Is it at the beginning? It starts with Lord Shiva speaking with the
It's before that. It's before that. The Guru Gita text will first start with the introductory verse, Om Asya Shri Guru Gita, and then it'll go to the Dhyanam, which is this that we discussed. Then he goes to the reason of doing it, getting the 4 fruits of life, and then he goes to that first verse that you're talking about, where Sutta Uvacha. So what I'll do is, at some point this week, I'll send you all a copy of the Guru Gita, but this is not a complete copy of it. This copy is one that has 108 verses of the Guru Gita. It's difficult to find all 186 verses, and even more difficult to find the one that has the complete almost 300 verses. But it's good enough. If everyone, when they chant, they say Guru Gita, they normally mean the 108 verses of Guru Gita. But I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I absolutely appreciate it. It really fills my heart with joy when I get to speak about Mohanji and get to speak about Guru. So I thank you very, very much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. Of course, if you learned anything today, it's all the grace of our Mohanji. And all mistakes are squarely my own ignorance. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. And I hope you join us again next week, Friday, where we will go into the first stanza, the first official stanza of Guru Gita. Thank you, everyone. Jai Mohanji. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Jai Mohanji. Swami.
Jai Mohanji, my Nirvana. See you. Bye-bye.
Love.
Jai Mohanji, Swamiji. Thank you so much.
Jai Mohanji, my dear, dear Preeti. I can't wait, Preeti, for you to come to South Africa.
I can't wait to be there. I'm already there, actually.
100%, 100%.
I'm already there.
We are going to have lots and lots of fun.
You won't believe how many times I am just sitting there in front of all the deities in my sadhana. You have no idea.
Beautiful.
That's something Mohanji did say once up in Badrinath. We were coming out of a temple, and he said, if you catch the essence of a place, then you don't have to even go and visit
100%,
it. But
100%.
But you have to catch that essence.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Jai
it.
Mohanji.
Jai Mohanji. Jai Mohanji.
Jai Guru Datta. Jai Guru.
Swamiji.
Yes.
Can I ask you one more thing? So since Mohanji is orchestrating everything and he is in everything, so he's also there in all the viruses?
100%. 100%. He is in absolute everything. You see, we see the virus and we see it as something that is negative. But this virus is one of the best gurus for the entire world, best teacher of the entire world. I mean, look at what COVID has done to our world. You know, suddenly we feel for our fellow man. You know, we see people get sick. We see people suffer in ICU. We see that they can't breathe. Suddenly we feel, we have empathy towards people. Suddenly we realize that, you know, when people scream at us, we realize they must be going through a bad day too. They must be scared with COVID. You know, maybe they lost family members and they're not coping. This is why they're acting out like this. Suddenly our understanding becomes more. We realize that we are the cause of what is going around. If it wasn't for human beings, there wouldn't have been this COVID-19. We start taking responsibility for our actions. We then start thinking, what can I do to make this world a better place? Mohanji teaches us that all the time. COVID is doing the exact same thing. COVID is doing the exact same thing. Because now suddenly we think, what do I need to do to ensure that my legacy continues in a way that is beneficial to the entire world? Suddenly we realize, you know, I was speaking to some of my friends that are in the ICU shift this week. And they told me that what they find, right, is somebody comes in on Monday with slight issues in breathing, but they now are putting them in ICU. Right? Monday night, they develop pneumonia. By Wednesday, they are dead. 3 days from exhibiting symptoms, people are dying with this new strain of COVID. Death can take us at any time. Anytime. Death can take us. I received a message just before we started Guru Gita. There's 3HO. 3HO is a Sikh. It's like a Sikh guru, 41 years old, and she passed away. 41 years old. Baby, still young, passed away. death can take you at any time. This teaches you this as well. So although it may seem bad, but for humanity as a whole, we've been taught lots of lessons. So there's a guru even in COVID. Remember that recent saying Mohanji put up? What? Get ready for kicks. When you're with the guru, you get kicks. Your ego gets kicked. Your everything gets kicked. Body gets kicked. Everything gets kicked. The same thing. COVID is kicking us and teaching us the right path. So even COVID is a manifestation of good.
So it's not that I prayed for the virus, but I just, at some point, I think so I did kind of say that, because I think so all the virus is doing is also trying to survive.
Yes.
So obviously I didn't want anybody to hurt or whatever, but
yes.
at the same time, I think so it's just doing whatever it needs to do. Similarly,
100%.
what we are doing, what we need to do.
100%. 100%. There's this saying that Sri Ramakrishna has. He says, God is in everything. God is in all the humans as well as the tiger. But there are certain gods that I will spend time with, and certain gods, when I see, I run away. Just like how I run away if I see a tiger in the jungle. So exactly what you're saying, God has become everything, including the virus. But there are certain gods you need to just stay away from.
You bet.
Okay, all my love to all of you. Jai Mohanji, Jai Mohanji, Jai Mohanji. Be safe, everyone.